We're back, everyone. It almost didn't happen, but we're back. Welcome to the return episode of the Big Lee's World podcast. Once again, it is I, your host, Big Lee, still coming from the Boom Boom Room right here in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I know it's been a little over a year since the last episode. Definitely wasn't the plan to be that long between those episodes. I know the last episode was us talking about Inhumane Championship Wrestling. And, we had some pretty big plans to move forward with the podcast to do certain things with it. However, life got a little crazy, professionally, personally, everything in between. And unfortunately, due to that, the podcast kind of got put on the back burner. I had to get some things figured out. I had to get some things straightened out. But hey, we're back. We're better than ever. We got some pretty cool things definitely in the works. And one of the things that I do want to talk about today is, I mentioned it briefly on social media. If you're following us on Big Lee's World over there on the Facebook, the Book of Faces at facebook.com/Big Lee's World. I mentioned that with the return of the podcast, I'm going to have some co-hosts with me. And with that being said, I want to bring on my first podcast host, co-host of sorts. And I've known this dude for a hot minute. He's a good friend of mine. Even though the fact he's bald. And I don't like bald people. But I want to introduce my friend, my first co-host of the Big Lee's World podcast, Mr. Tom Rowe. Tom Rowe, how you doing tonight, good friend?
I am great. My mailman did not want me to be here, but I am here.
So, a little side story there. When we talked about doing this, Tom Rowe here realized he didn't have a microphone, so he thought he could expedite it. And literally everything in the world seemed to happen to try to stop it, but why don't you tell him what happened?
Well, he fell on my package and smashed my microphone. Not my package, but my package.
And I mean, that's not even the first of it. I mean, considering the fact that you ordered it and then, your town flooded.
Yes. The town hadn't flooded yet when it got delivered.
Oh, really?
It started raining. So the box was already wet, and then, he just smashed it. It's still sitting on my kitchen table. I have not returned it yet.
I mean,
because of the flood, I couldn't get to Sykeston, so it's still there.
I was going to say, I never really, I kind of had to get on the road when all this started to happen. So, when the box got squished, so the microphone got damaged too, or is it just the,
Yeah, so the way they shipped it, they didn't put it in a separate box, they didn't put the microphone box in another box.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was literally just the box the microphone was in with a shipping label on it. So when I got home, pieces of the microphone was actually just on the ground.
Yeah, that kind of tracks for the whole shipping service these days. It seems like. Was it UPS or FedEx?
It was USPS.
Oh man, the worst of the worst.
Hey, he left a note.
There you go. Hey, we tried to delay your podcast debut and everything, but hey, I left you a note saying I'm sorry.
Pretty much.
I mean, well, tell us about yourself.
I don't know. I kind of suck at talking about myself. What do you want to know?
Well, tell us a little bit about your background.
I'm from the huge city of East Prairie, Missouri. I unfortunately live there again, and I sell liquor, not in East Prairie, Missouri.
I was gonna say, does East Prairie even have a grocery store or anything like that?
We have a grocery store called McDonald's.
Ah, there you go.
Used to get so pissed as a kid when my mom said we were going to McDonald's and I didn't get a Happy Meal.
I was gonna say, I think I've been to East Prairie maybe twice in my life, so I was not for sure.
That's the 2 worst days of your life.
I mean, it's pretty close to it. It was pretty close to it. So, I mean, well, Tom Rowe, I'm glad to have you in part of the Big Lee's World team.
Glad to be here.
Like I said, when I put that out there, I went ahead and made it plural. So I've got a second co-host for this nice little podcast we're doing here. Another guy I've known for a hot minute. A guy that I consider family. A guy that I've done security for. A guy that I've had to ruffle feathers over for and everything in between. So, with that being said, if you haven't figured it out by now, my next co host on the Big Leagues World podcast is none other than wrestling legend, Farmer Billy Hills. What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you guys doing?
Man, I can't complain. If I was doing any better, I'd be balder.
Oh, that's fair.
It's a bald man's world.
Apparently not.
Yeah, it is.
I know one guy apparently ain't participating in it.
We'll get you.
Slow and steady. He's like, Farmer's like, whoa, wait, I didn't agree to all this.
Hold on now. Hold on. I'm slowly getting there. If you take a look, it's slowly getting there. Slow.
Hey man, we need to get you some of them clippers and get you joined up, get you initiated.
Man, I got something in the bathroom. I'm just too lazy, if I'm being honest. It's too much work. Like, I'll just take this electric one down to just the blade, and then we'll just do whatever after that.
I got you. So what you been up to, man? Like, how's life?
Man, life is going very well for me on my end. Like right now, as you guys can kind of tell, I'm kind of dressed in my coaching uniform because we just came from softball and everything. It's a great night for that. So, yeah, because coaching started not too long ago, even with all the storms and everything else that we've been having here recently between, where you guys are and over here in Illinois. Softball never stops. Still practice in the rain. Still get muddy. Still have fun. So, yeah, we actually were able to have a full game tonight. Unfortunately, it was a little bit one-sided. Other team lost pretty bad. We whooped up on them a little bit, 15-0. Had to call the game a little early. So I'm glad I was able to be home in time to do this with you guys. So
I was gonna say I didn't know that they still practice and everything in the rain.
God, yes, yeah, there's still plenty to do, and even in bad weather, it's just not good to have the metal bats in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So we might skip out on that one a little bit, but no, you can still learn how to slide. You can still play your positions. You still catch a ball.
Learn how to slide.
Yeah,
all the mud out there.
Yeah,
slide, slippity slide. Big snitches in the block on a 65.
Hell yeah.
So yeah,
Tom Rose, that's a little bit before my time.
A little bit.
I'm a little
bit before his time. Poor guy. But no, man, that's been it about over this direction. Ain't much been going on this way. It's been nice, peaceful. That's just starting, so yeah.
You gotta love it, man. All right, so for those of them out there who either live under a rock or, just recently new to the Big Leagues World brand and not familiar with the cast of characters that I associate with, Farmer, why don't you go ahead and tell them about yourself? Give them a little background, a little history of.
Well, I have been a professional wrestler for coming up on, if I'm not right at 20 years, I know I'm coming up on it. I have traveled everywhere that will have me. I was supposed to knock out California this past weekend, but unfortunately, circumstances beyond the promoter's control happened, so I can't check California off the bucket list just yet. But I've traveled the north, the south, and a lot of the east. Been trying to go as far west as humanly possible. Thought I was going to be able to get that one, but again, unfortunate circumstances have happened. Not only, am I, the harvester of sorrows, but I'm also a lord. So you will, you peasants that are listening to this will refer to me as such. I am a lord by declaration and decree. I have the paperwork sitting right over there on my wall. I'll show it to you. So don't test my lordship or my gangster because you will fuck around and find out.
Tommy's now over here trying to figure out how to become a lord.
I will give you that information
I
off
am.
camera.
That's my Google tab right now.
I mean, Lord Tom Rowe, Lord Farmer Billy Hills. You know,
Lord Bigley.
I don't know about that now. You know, we probably got pretty close when we came Reverend Big Lee.
I'm a reverend too, technically. So, all you got to do is just add a lordship to your name too. I can make it happen.
Yeah, see, the problem is, you know, my reverendship has to be a little limited because if I walk into a church, it may someone may catch fire. So
That's fair.
I don't see the issue. If we
hey,
can't tax them, burn them.
That's right.
And that's the Big Leagues World podcast. We're canceled.
Oh no,
Yep.
we'll get to that. So, hey, trust me, it wouldn't be the first time I've been canceled. And it wouldn't be the first time I've been canceled for a podcast. So,
And it probably won't be the last with us three.
Oh yeah, I mean that's actually was going to be my next thing I was going to bring up here is to, before we get deep diving into everything here, you want to make sure that I get on record, a verbal agreement for all the listeners that could back me up if this comes up in down the road in history. Just say, from this point on, y'all realize agreeing to be podcast host on here with me and the things that we get into. You may get canceled.
That's okay.
You may get heat.
I know what I'm getting into whenever I'm doing anything with you.
Yeah, I mean
know
that's
what I'm getting into. It's fine. We got into each other's bullshit many a times over at CCW. You helped me fight off a biker gang. You think I ain't gonna have your back in this too? Shit.
I know it makes me think of that 1994 Arn Anderson promo from Bash at the Beach. Tom Rose, was you even alive in '94?
I was a ripe age of 1 year old.
Wow.
Hey.
Well, for us old timers that remember, Arn Anderson had been asked by Dustin Rhodes to be his partner to go against Colonel Robert Parker's faction there. And I always remember he's getting out there and he's cutting his promo talking about like, we don't wear white hats. We may get hurt. We may, go through this. If you're not familiar with the promo, I posted on the TikTok a few months back. You can find all that on the Big Lee's World TikTok over there at I was just gonna say go to Big Lee's World and click the link there. I don't even remember. Like, is that how like TikTok works? Like TikTok.com/ like whatever your handle is.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty novice when it comes to anything besides just watching and reposting on TikTok.
Dude, I'm trying to get better at it here. Like I try to step up my editing game. I just posted one of those we'll get to that here in a second, but I went this weekend to the death match in Chicago and take care of this here real quick. We went to a death match up in Chicago, and I'm planning to talk about that here in a moment. But I took like the clip or some clips and stuff and tried to edit it together, and trying to get better at that using the CapCut, trying to step up the game here, as I guess the kids would call it for the TikTok, because apparently that's the the way of the future apparently. Or at least for the next few days
until it gets quick. We got some breaking news. Nick Gage's wife has passed away. Game Changer posted it 17 minutes ago, it looks like.
You kind of cut out there, buddy. What is it?
Said Game Changer posted on Facebook. Emily just sent a thing in the chat. Nick Gage's wife has passed away.
Well, that's sad.
Oh no.
Yeah, no
Oh, wow.
details. Just
Hey,
That sucks.
yeah. We definitely send our condolences out to Nick and the Game Changer family, and that's crazy. Like,
yeah, that's a bummer.
I mean, I don't know. That's I know Nick had already been kind of going through it. It seemed like beforehand in the past year and a half, and I was hoping things be on the up and up and get better there, and life seems to kind of give him a little bit of a struggle there. So hopefully, he pulls through. Like it's kind of a loss of words here, what to say. Definitely wasn't expecting that. So, but oh yeah, we went to ICW this weekend. Tom Rowe, you ever been to a deathmatch show?
I have not.
So when are we gonna fix that?
I don't have an answer for you right now.
You need to get in the car and make the miles up here. I think Farmer's trying to tear up his setup there.
My main thing with the deathmatch trips is I work Saturdays. Getting off on Saturday is a huge pain. It takes months of planning, but we'll make
call
it happen
out.
eventually. Too important to do that these days.
Okay, I mean, if that's how you feel, then that's
I want to feel. I want to feel
it's okay to
importantly.
believe stuff like that. But anyways, so back to it. Went to Chicago this weekend. Went to see ICW No Holds Barred 73. For those not familiar, like I said, deathmatch. If you're not familiar with deathmatch wrestling, best way I can describe it is imagine your favorite pro wrestler using glass and knives and barbed wire instead of body slam. I mean, they still body slam and stuff like that. So, anyways, and the particular thing with NHB is they don't have ropes; they use chains, kind of like a throwback style to the '80s movie No Holds Barred. I'm gonna take it you've not seen No Holds Barred, the movie.
I'm aware of his existence. I have not watched it.
I got you. Okay. So, anyways, they run Berwyn. Quite a few deathmatch companies that's been running up there as of late, and it seems like we had a good run of different deathmatch companies, and this was the last one. I think they've got booked for a while for Berwyn. I don't think there's any deathmatch shows on the books, and anyways, yeah, it was a blast. They brought in the number one deathmatch wrestler in the world, Masashi Takeda. He's known for using giant scissors to cut people up. So, if you want to see a real life horror show, I recommend going to a deathmatch show for around here. I think the next one is first weekend in May down in Chattanooga at good old Red Bank at the TW Arena. So, if you're looking to give it a try, or you're just looking to find your next deathmatch show, go check it out there. Otherwise, it's a pretty calm weekend. Had my first bad Portillo's experience. That wasn't very fun. They didn't cook the meat fully
You had
through.
one job.
I know, right? Especially mate knows me knows. Like I get like next to nothing on my sandwiches, like bread and meat, and like the meat came out cold. So a little bit of a disappointment, but overall it was a good weekend. So what about you, Tom Rowe? How's your weekend looking?
This upcoming weekend or this past weekend,
This past weekend?
it sucked. I was flooded. I couldn't leave my house. I actually did have to call into work this time. Always sucks to not make money. Had to use personal day, which also sucks because I'd rather use those for things I want to do. So yeah, 0-10. Don't recommend living in a fucking swamp.
I think you'll say 0 out of 10. You don't recommend living in East Prairie.
Either or.
Farmer, what about you? How was your weekend?
Oh man, it was unfortunately, like Tommy's. It rained so much, they canceled my shows that I was going to do, but I was already out, headed towards them before they got canceled. So I just met up with some folks and we ate at Chili's and then came home and stayed home because I unfortunately had nothing else to do. My shows got canceled thanks to all this weather around here. So yeah, hopefully this weekend will be a little bit better. I'm hoping that way we can, get back at it. But there's talks. I don't know exactly when. I don't know if it's tomorrow, or Friday, but some of the weather coming back for round 2. Well, technically it'd be round 3, I guess. So kind
I don't
of
think it's
we shall
looking as
see.
severe, which is nice, but yeah, I'd rather just not have
Yeah,
any on the radar at all.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm tired of it. This is getting out of hand.
I did while I was stuck in the house binge watch The Righteous Gemstones and get all caught up on that.
Was it, of the new season, or you just never seen any of them at all?
So I had never seen any of it. I started watching it like 2 weeks ago. I watched all of season 3 on Saturday, and then got caught up with season 4 on Sunday, and now I'm caught up with the show.
There is such an underrated show. Like, John Good.
The
To me, that's probably John Goodman's best role.
yeah, I had never heard of it, and then Uncle Baby Billy started going viral on the TikTok, and I was hooked.
Yeah, his I could probably do without his new jet ski scenes on the new season.
You don't like his deformed wiener?
No, I'm kind of good without that. So, hey, I man, I don't know what to say about it. Like, I enjoy it. St. Louis star John Goodman.
The goat.
Yeah, the top tier big man.
I would put the Righteous Gemstones up there with Red State for me. If you guys know that one.
I
So
do not.
I'm unfamiliar with that one.
That one is one of the Kevin Smith movies. It's a it's about he's a cop in it, and he's recounting this cult church incident that happened. It's fantastic. Seek that one out because it's got, of course, John in it. He's one of the I can't remember if it's FBI or what, but he's one of the police officers in it, and he gets called to an incident at a church that is pretty much what is that, kind of like Westboro,
Okay.
I believe is the name of one of those cult churches or whatever. And
They came to East
it's
Prairie once.
Really?
Yeah,
oh
to
god,
protest a military funeral. They didn't last long.
I can
yeah,
imagine.
that don't shock me at all. Doesn't even shock me that they come there either.
I think I was like
But
13 or 14 at the time. Talk of the town.
Jesus.
I think the only time I've ever seen them was I went to see Marilyn Manson back in the day,
That
and
tracks.
they were there, and I just thought to myself, I'm like, if you go see Marilyn Manson, you know what you're signing up to here. Like, I don't know why y'all are here. Like, I don't think you're gonna really change anyone's mind.
Yeah. And it's funny, talking about that. What brought that whole movie Red State about was I'm sure you guys know Dogma.
Yes.
You guys know that one. So of course they went to, protest that. Well, Kevin and his gay brother were able to just kind of slide in with them a little bit. And it's funny because the news that was there to like report on it actually interviewed Kevin.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, you can actually go find it. The news actually interviewed Kevin about it. And so he's just running it down, basically. If I remember the interview correctly, he's just running it into the ground. But it was that interaction with them that inspired him to make Red State. It was, of
Mhm.
course, years later after, of course, after Dogma, after Clerks 2, and no, it was after Clerks 2. Let's see, he did Clerks 2, Tusk, and then I think Red State, I believe, is how his universe kind of panned out there. So,
Now, is it? I guess it's before. Is it Hosier Girls? Is that what it's called?
yes, it was before that because Hosier Girls came after, and then Clerks 3 happened.
Oh man, Clerks 3. Whew,
I
Yeah,
still
that
need
one
to
still hurts.
get
yeah.
caught up on the Kevin Smith universe. All I've seen is Clerks and like clips of Dogma.
So what's cool about Dogma is, well, not necessarily cool. I mean, it's cool that it's going to work out now, but Dogma's been kind of for a long time been kind of like locked away due to the whole like Harvey Weinstein deal and the way like they had the distribution rights. Well, from what I heard, that has been settled, and Kevin is getting the rights back to Dogma for distribution, and they're supposed to start like re-releasing it and things of that nature, so that you'll be able to like buy it on digital platforms and buy the re-release of the DVD or Blu-ray, so that you're not having to pay like these ridiculous prices on eBay and third-party resellers. So you love to see it.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, makes me kind of want to watch it again. I don't know if I own it or not. Probably
Well,
don't.
well, you're gonna have to watch it eventually because they're making a second one. So, gonna have to watch it eventually.
I didn't know they were making a second one.
Yep. I think he's got everybody coming back.
Okay.
So Matt, Ben, Chris Rock. Of course, we can't get Oh goodness. Shoot, he passed away. Gosh darn it. The comedian that was in it. That one,
George
Clerks 2.
Carlin.
Yeah. Can't get George back. But everybody else is coming though. And of course we can't get uh Nakatomi Tower, Harry Potter. We can't get that guy back either.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everybody that's alive and well and can is all coming back for it. And the biggest thing was, of course, Ben and Matt. But yeah, even got them too. So I think that's his next one that's coming out, I do
Okay.
believe. So that's what they're working on right now.
I know the big ones that follows that. I mean, they just announced that they're going to finally do the fourth Friday.
I did
Yeah,
see
that's a
that.
big one.
I don't know how that's going to play out. Like, is this where Smokey finally gets out of rehab?
Man, if they can work it out to where they can get Smokey, that would be fantastic. I just
I,
don't know if Chris would be up for it.
I mean, I don't know why. I don't know what else Chris Tucker's doing.
It's not even so much like what else he's doing. It just he doesn't want to be associated with what Smokey used to be. Because, Jesus.
I mean, he
That
needs to
damn
be
Jesus.
associated with paying the bills. And after seeing his last Netflix stand up, that wasn't it, dog. Like,
He's living off that Michael Jordan money right now, so he's fine. That rush hour.
apparently it upset Tommy so much he just got up and left. He's like, you can't be talking bad about Chris Tucker now. You good, dog?
Yeah, I had to get some water.
Oh, I was about to say, I thought, man, he got really offended already about the Chris Tucker talk.
Dang, don't talk about Chris Tucker.
Really, he secretly had to go off screen to be like, I need to Google who Chris Tucker is.
I'm aware of Chris Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, so you said you had some shows coming, or you had some shows canceled so far. Where are you wrestling at now?
Same answer as always, brother. Anywhere that'll have me.
Well, I mean, where are you currently in a story at?
Oh, so probably one of my best stories, just story wise, not just working to like work, is over at Ignite in Carterville. Illinois, and that's one with Dalton.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, me neither. Nobody has, honestly. But yeah, that's probably one of my better ones that's going right now. Is we've had our back and forths for a little over a year now, Dalton and I, with that one. But of course, that whole thing with Dalton and I has been going on a lot longer
Right.
than that. It's God. How long has CCW been around? Since 2017? Almost 10
16.
years? 16, technically? All right. So, yeah. We're at 8 years that we've been at each other's throats in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't want to say that's coming to a head, but I feel like it's about to. So, yeah, that one. Yeah, that's probably one of the, as far as like, pulling back a fourth wall, that's probably the better stories that I got going on right now. Everything else is just, helping wherever I can help,
Yeah, I got you.
basically. You know, so that was probably my better one because I'm able to, keep something consistent story wise going there. And of course, be a part of the show in other ways, shape, form, and fashions as well. So,
I don't know if you do anything over with the Murfreesboro people.
no fault.
Yeah.
No, they've them and Ignite do not have or at least they didn't have a good working relationship. At first, I don't know if that's changed recently, but I had heard that it did. Um, because at first they wasn't allowing talent if shows fell on the same night to just work both shows.
Mm-hmm.
And just work out. Okay, so I'm
Sorry, I got
on the
distracted. It
card.
sounded like something like somebody got robbed or broken into.
Yeah, no, that was my dog.
Oh.
His big hindquarters adjusting himself over there.
He's had a
Giant
rough day of
turd.
guarding the house.
Pretty much, yeah, because I've not been home all day. But yeah, they had that, this weird thing in wrestling to where like some promoters don't want you working for the other one if there's another company in town and all this other nonsense. A little bit of that was going on, but because they didn't want them, working both shows, you know. But last couple shows that have fallen on like the same night, they've, allowed it and everything. So, I
I
could
was
probably slide in their DMs and see what's going on, but
I
I
was gonna say I seen
stay
that
too
like
busy to.
them two and I guess PWE's trying to come into that area.
Yeah, he's been trying to get down here, but he's been getting blocked at every, turn. Basically, Lenny has. He's been getting
Yeah,
blocked at every, turn possible. So he's not had much luck getting in down here, and I don't know that he will. Um, there's a lot of people that unfortunately he's rubbed the wrong way down this way.
I got you.
And from what I've heard, again, this isn't me, this is just things I've heard that there's just people blocking him. Like I know he's tried coming to Cape, he got blocked there. He's tried coming down this way. The furthest he got was DuQuoin, but even that he almost got blocked from. So I,
I know I seen he's got the show coming up in Centralia, and
yeah,
I guess there's a town called Pinckneyville.
yeah. That's over by. I don't know if you remember the old Stride shows. The principal. Jerry Travelstead. I don't know if you
I
remember
remember
ever
the
seeing him
name,
on
but
any.
I never
Yeah.
went to those or that the
Well,
ones that they.
you'll remember Jerry because we used to rent his ring out for like
Yeah.
the bigger CCW shows. That's where you probably remember Jerry from if you ever dealt with him that way.
Okay.
But Pinckneyville is was kind of like Jerry's area. I mean, it wasn't anything he ran, but like he would always help Stride to get in there and everything because that's where we'd hold it at the schools. But yeah, no, I mean that's and even Centralia, there is going to be a good chance that that may be a one and done thing for Laney there too, because not this last Ignite show that was supposed to happen this past weekend, but the one before that. Um, there's some people that run that area like really consistently, and they're gonna block him out there too. Um, because
I
Lenny
got
just
you.
doesn't like working with people, I guess. Work something out, like, like you're coming into my area that I work in consistently, let's, grease each other up. And I don't know. I guess he's just not about it. I don't know. Um, Again, this is just hearsay shit, so I can't say
Right.
yes or no. But that's just what I hear.
No, I get it. I'm so far removed from most of the local wrestling in
Yeah.
the area. If it isn't death matches or no, we'll make it down to Corning for.
I think the last indie show I went to was the CCW show with Cardona.
I got you.
That was a good one too.
Yeah.
You know,
But then I bailed out before Lee could introduce me to the love of my life. So
well, don't worry. You may get that chance sooner than later. But no, I was gonna
good to
say
know.
someone brought this up to me the other night, Saturday night actually, about a rumor going around about CCW, and it made me think of that. Or when you said that, it made me think of it. And you talk about exposing the fourth, bringing back the fourth wall, exposing it, whatever. Someone told me that they heard that the reason that CCW wasn't running anymore is because they lost a ton of money on that Cardona show. And I think it's funny how that rumor got started because I heard that and I was like, no, I could tell you 110% for certain that didn't happen at all. Like, CCW had a sponsor for Cardona to come in, so CCW had very little investment into Cardona coming in, and they made more than their fair share of their investment back in the ticket sales for that show. So I appreciate the person that brought that up to me this weekend. You know, I hate false rumors going around. I hate false news, fake news, as I guess some people call it.
Yep.
But I wanted to address that before I forget and say that's not true at all. That no, CCW didn't go bankrupt or lose a ton of money on that Cardona show. Like I said, by far it was the exact opposite. And if you really want to know why CCW's kind of been on hold lately, I can give you a couple of reasons. One, well, farmers are like, well, now we're really going to get canceled.
No, I don't care. If you wasn't going to bring it up, I was. So let's just put it out there. I'm sorry, Tommy. You probably don't care about any of this, but
I'm here for the
we
ride.
got a lot of we got a lot of people that want to know because
Yeah.
I mean we've been so radio silent about what's going on and everything, and it's time to put it out there and what we're doing.
Yeah.
So
Tom Rowe's
go
like,
ahead, Lee.
I'm ready just to get canceled, by
He's like
association.
I'm ready
Give
for
me
my
the
one and
gossip.
done.
He's like, I'm going to go into the shoot job tomorrow, and they're going to be like, ah, man, I can't believe that. You said you were part of that. But, no, I mean, first things first. If you, first reason that you're not seeing CCW running monthly like it was or something like that, you can thank the city of Cape Girardeau. From the
Bombs.
time CCW started till their last couple shows they ran there, in this city of Cape Girardeau's own buildings. I was trying to think of the right word here to say for it. Their rent almost doubled to an astronomical amount, and then cut support for it.
Yep.
They literally went. They had a rate agreement when they first started, and when you run a business, you want to try to keep your costs at a minimum, but you understand, like over time, like yeah, there's going to be a little bit of increase in rent from 2016 to 2024. And, well, there's a difference between a little bit of an increase and a complete, utter, like almost double, and then cut the staffing for it. So when they started running there, those first shows, they came in for a rate, and they were given like staff to help them set up chairs, things of that nature. And by the end of it, you know, that staffing was cut, and they were paying almost double and not getting the help they needed as far as like set up things like that. So that's one of the big reasons is the majority of your venues here in Cape are ran by the city, and it's kind of that way across the board. It was at one point looked at, moving to Shawnee Park Center as a permanent home for CCW.
And that's the one at the sports complex.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
I was
off
about
of off of 72, like going to Illinois.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
See, I don't know why I always get like confused. Like when people say like sports complex, I think about that place out there by Exit 99.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair.
And I was just like, wait, which one? But no, so that was an option. We ran into there was two issues they ran into there. One, the rent had started out so much cheaper than what the arena building was, and then they decided to raise it to almost the cost to rent the arena building. And it was like that was like a 400% increase from what they were paying. Personally, I like the Shawnee building better, just because it gives a more intimate feel, things of that nature. You just feel like you're right there with the action. However, the fan base didn't quite seem to share that same sentiment. And then ticket sales went down when they went to Shawnee. So it's like, well, okay, they got to go back to the drawing board here because they're losing ticket sales. And to me, it don't make sense. Like, as a person who travels often for shows to different states, things like that, it's a hard concept. And maybe one of you two can explain it to me why, you're able, like, you're willing to support something at one building, but not a building a few streets over.
That's easy.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's easy. What do you think, Tommy? Do you have anything just off the top of your head?
No, I'm blank.
No, that's okay. It's the presentation.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
That's what it all boils down to. Because if you go look at any of those videos on YouTube where we were in the arena building, and then you go look at the ones that were over in Shawnee, it's not the same product. Yeah, it's the same talent, same company, same name. It just wasn't the same. It's like, mind you, CCW has its flaws. Every company does. So to an extent, with all the lights and production that we were able to put into CCW at the arena building, whenever we had, as you alluded to, all that help, there was none better in this area.
Mm-hmm.
None. And I mean, I'm talking within a 100-mile radius of Cape Girardeau, there was none better than us. But whenever we went to Shawnee and all of that got stripped away, man, it was bad. It was bad. It wasn't good. You know, it just it was horrible. It's like it exposed us for something we wasn't in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It was just limitations that we had with just the building itself. We had to do what we had to do. It's like whenever we would go to what's that one place that we used to do the shows for the school? What was that?
Charleston?
Delta?
Yeah, it might have been Charleston. Well, the Delta, I heard that the Delta building got blown away in a tornado.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Delta got
that
destroyed.
Delta building is gone. Yeah, that building is unfortunately gone. But yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and wrap up Delta in there too, because it was the same thing. It had the same look and feel. We were stripped naked, and it's like we, talking about the righteous gemstones and not, weird penis. That's, just to bring that story back full
I'm
circle.
excited to
I
see
mean,
how
that's
this all
kind of,
ties together.
that's, and that's it. I mean, that's kind of what we look like whenever you stripped all of our, stuff away from us. And whenever you took all of our clothes off and everything away from the arena building, and how big and nice and fancy and, that feel that we gave you, just this huge production. Whenever we left the arena building, we went to Shawnee, went to Charleston, went to Delta, and the only thing you got was a curtain in a hallway. You can't help but, as a fan, be like, all this money and everything else that I've gone into, we can't get a fucking disco ball? We can't
So,
turn one light off?
so here's the thing. Now, I may be in the minority of this just because of my
Yeah.
extracurricular activities outside of here. Being a big fan of like hardcore concerts, death metal, and dive bar shows and things like that. I personally enjoyed the more stripped down. I know that there's a lot of people out there that's not that way. They wanted to see the lights and the thing, lights and fancy videos and stuff like that. I was trying to think the right word here for it. To me, I don't. That wasn't for me, and I was hoping that we could get more and more of a fan base to kind of see that. Because it's like, to me, Delta was a great spot to run a show. As far as like, there's nothing else going on in Delta.
Yeah.
Like, my mind, like, everybody would come out to Delta that was local, had nothing else to do. The diehard fans would travel to it. And I mean, you could only hold, like, if I remember, at 175, 200 max people in that building with the ring. And, like, I was just expecting this wild and crazy experience. And yeah, it just wasn't there. Like, I mean, the first couple ones we
Yeah.
did there, it was rowdy. But after that, it was just like those crowds got smaller. Because I remember the first time we ran Delta, like, it was a huge concern. It was like, okay, we're going to have to tell these people that we're about to sell out, and we're going to have to start turning people away from the door. And then by the time that, it got to the last one, it's like, we've got so much space here because there's like hardly nobody here. So I'm just like, it just blows my mind. Like, I see
Well,
like Southern Illinois and West Tennessee who have like 15 different promotions running in a 15-mile radius, and it's like there's no other indie wrestling in Cape, but it's such a struggle to keep it going.
yeah.
So
And, the flip side of your coin and everything there, with all the pomp and circumstance that, you know, CCW brought to the table, those first few years at just the arena building before we, started going to
mm-hmm,
Delta, Charleston, and everything else. Even whenever we moved that one time to the Harley Davidson place, Lawless, and there was the Sykeston one, we still had, the pomp and circumstance at those, but it wasn't shortly after, whenever we stripped all that away, that things, you know, I don't know. I can't say that that's what did it, but that's whenever, people started kind of like, and that's 100% on us. At the end of the day, that's on us as a company. We programmed them that you see this, this is us, this is what you're going to get every single show. You're
mm-hmm,
going to get big lights, production, the whole nine. We groomed these fans to expect that. So when that was taken away, they just took themselves away. Even if it was for just like one show here, one show there, it kind of left a sour taste in their mouth. And I get that. It's the same way with, like, you know, even WWE. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're WWE. They're a machine. They're whatever. But you know, whenever you go to something that's not a SmackDown or a Raw, you just go to a basic house show, and the only thing you see is just this one miniature screen for a video to play on, and you're like, I didn't get my money's worth for this. You know,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
expected something different.
there's
So it was
definitely
kind of the
some
same thing, you know.
it's definitely some
I think.
validation to it because I mean, like I went to the last house show that CCW or not CCW WWE did at the Show Me Center, and
Hmm.
they definitely stepped their they had the larger screen than what it used to be back in the day. They
Yeah.
had the they tried to make it feel almost like a small TV show, and I mean, given also WWE tickets are way more expensive than what CCW is, and
Yeah.
that's the thing. Also, I think that kind of has to be looked at as well. I think the fan base didn't quite grasp the concept of it's like CCW had to raise their ticket prices because the state cracked down and they started charging more fees, and
Yeah.
then I think some of that CCW fan base took it personal that they were trying to get priced out of what they could afford for their family to go to it, and it's like
Yeah.
you have to realize that, like, I can say CCW, if it made a profit, it wasn't much on any show they did. So when you
Yeah.
look at, what they were having to do and what they were charging tickets, I think like last time, I think tickets got up to like $16, $17 for front row. And people were upset about that. But it's like, you got to realize once the state starts taking $2 a ticket, the sales tax and, their ticket fee, then the cost to pay the talent, because then it's like the talents your talents that you're trying to bring in is costing more, or they're needing more to come in, and it's like, okay, well, we got to keep that ticket at that price plus the whole like building increase. So I think a lot of that, the fans took it personally, but and they have to, and I think it's the things like you have to learn, like,
Yeah.
they're not going to keep running CCW if they're going to, in essence, lose money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Because
worth it.
no, and
No.
then I harbor this still to this day, and I give the current owner, a hard time about it still. I made friends in my time there with a fellow named Mikey. Shout out to Mikey. He used to be the big boss man over at the Pony in East Cape. For folks that don't know, the
My
Pony
hero.
used to be a local strip club on the east side of Cape. And for those that aren't familiar with the area, the east side of Cape is in Illinois, so they have completely different regulations than what the state of Missouri does. They don't have like a wrestling commission to charge you all these outlandish fees and things like that. And I became friends with him. He enjoyed the product. He enjoyed the wrestling and things like that. And he enjoyed meeting the wrestlers and stuff like that. So, I had a handshake agreement with him to where, like, we were going to start trying to run shows over in East Cape at the old carpet building across from the Pony, or even look at doing parking lot shows at the Pony, into where, we would get the building for nothing, or set up in the parking lot for the show for nothing, and and we got to keep the ticket sales. Only thing they wanted was to be able to advertise and have the bar there. And I
As
thought it was a
someone who
great.
never went to the Pony before in their life, I would have went to that show.
I mean, that's fair, but see, that's the thing. Like, that would have been great for business. It would have been great for CCW to have that cost. Because I mean, once
Yeah.
you gotta understand, like, to run that indie show in Cape, time you get the licensing, the fees, the rent, you're a couple of grand invested before you pay out your first talent. And if you could get that couple grand cut off of your show cost at the very, at the very beginning before you do anything else, that's going to help product and keep it going. And all they had to do was agree to, let the pony, have the bar, set up bar, bar concession, whatever. No big deal. Easy handshake deal. Everybody wins. And then when I took this offer back to the powers that be, they shot it down. They said that, it would hurt the CCW brand being associated with a strip club or doing business with a strip club or having any kind of association with them. Well, fast forward shortly later, it got to the point to where it's like, okay, these costs are astronomical where we're at. Mikey has since left, working for the pony. So we don't have that agreement, that handshake agreement anymore, or a willingness to do business with each other. And it's like, to me, I personally feel like if we had that handshake agreement and we started running it and both sides were benefited from it, there would still be CCW shows to this day.
Yeah,
So,
that's totally fair assumption because, I'll be transparent with anybody and everybody that's listening. I personally, and this was something we were talking about before we started this, I have desperately every free moment I have trying to find um, anywhere for us to start calling a home again. We were very, 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 very close to having one late last year, around October, November. Um, and unfortunately, just fell through. Um, Nothing on our end whatsoever. It was actually on the building's end itself, which even that wasn't, the building's fault either. It was a rather big building, and there was a couple spaces that was rented out in it.
mm-hmm.
And the businesses that were in those spaces, unfortunately, they just couldn't, sustain themselves anymore.
Right.
So with those two businesses having left out of there, that was then going to up our costs for said building. So we just opted to just not go that direction. So I personally have reached out to some places. One place, golly, you would think that people be a little bit more communicating when trying to make and or get money from people,
Mm-hmm.
but communication is very lacking in a lot of places these days. Like I've not heard from some, places back in 2, 3 weeks where we were having, short, quick conversations. Now I haven't heard from them in 2, 3 weeks. I do have the current owner. I, sent some information to him about one of the buildings over in East Cape that I think would be a good fit for us. That's for sale right now, which is the Lone Star Dance Hall. I think that'd be a good fit for us because from the looks of the inside of it, I've never been on the inside, but just the pictures that are up online, um, it looks like it already has a lot of the stuff that we would need as far as a look and feel.
Mm-hmm.
We would just have to do a little bit of, sprucing of just some things here and there. Um, so I sent information about it. Believe they're looking into it, see if anything can come of it at all. I know, it's boarded up, so I don't think renting it would be a thing. So it'd have to be one of those, kind of possibly buy the building outright kind of thing. But again, I've sent all that information to the power that be in his firm.
Right.
So we're hopefully looking into it, but we've not given up. We're not giving up by any means necessary, and we're not going to give up until we just can't anymore. Uh, because I've even been asked, over here in my neck of the woods, which you guys know I live over here in Anna, which is only
I
about
thought you
30
lived in
minutes.
Mudlick, Kentucky.
I plead the fifth. Um,
Kayfabe is dead.
But they've asked about buildings and everything over here, and I mean I do. I mean I've got a couple buildings over here in Anna that are open and free that could be used. But I worry about that travel for my people in Cape. Um, and it wouldn't even really be, the same. You'd have to go through a whole rebranding phase if we were to
Yeah, I don't
bring
think you can call
CCW
yourself
over
Cape
here.
Championship Wrestling anymore.
I'm going to
No,
disagree
we
with you on
wouldn't.
that.
Hey,
Okay.
fine. Let me
The
let me
re-
hear
no,
your
hold on.
pitch.
Now, hold on. So hear me out on this. So the reason I say this for is kind of odd because when I was driving to Evansville the other day for a HorrorCon, uh, I was driving through Marion, and I seen there's like this Cape Electric there, which of course is like, based out of Cape because it's Cape Electric.
I've also seen that in Arnold.
Yeah, and it's also like, isn't like I'm pretty sure like doesn't one of those airports around there still use Cape Air?
The one in
Um,
Marion does, yeah.
Yeah, even though Cape doesn't use Cape Air. So I mean, I definitely agree with the whole rebranding thing. And if it was up to me, we never would have named it Cape Championship Wrestling, but that was a decision before my time.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I think the other thing I would say about it is if you miss CCW, and this would be my, if you take anything of my advice, I talk about you know, the Southeast Missouri indie wrestling scene, is take this to heart and remember this. If, and right now it's a big if, that CCW becomes a regular running company and not just a one off spot show here and there, but like a real back to real running regularly, support it. Just know that, like, one of the things that I had heard was like, it's the same show, it's the same people, it's the same matches each month. If I miss one, I can just see the other. Nothing really that big changes except like a couple of shows a year. Well, if you skip those shows, then it's going to hurt the bottom line and you're going to be back to, CCW. I will say this: if CCW comes back for one final run and it doesn't deliver the way it needs to, CCW won't come back again. Like if it
Nope.
starts running again full time and it doesn't deliver, the tickets aren't sold there, it won't come back. There won't be a hiatus and then it come back again. You know, they had a really good shot at running when when the ownership hands just recently changed and they ran those shows at the arena building. And, that was a real hope that they could do some things to change it and get everyone back fully going to it. It didn't. And, he can debate, what it would have took to get it back going. I have my thoughts. I know they're different than others. I definitely think that the show should have been more adult oriented, more of a thing like that to get people's interest. And I've said this for years. I think that if you want CCW to really succeed to where it can be, you got to put the belt on Farmer.
Oh, stop it.
Seconded.
Yeah,
Stop it.
I've been in this
We'll
game
have
for
none of this.
I've
Long
been in
overdue.
and I mean, not just because you're here. Like, I mean, seriously, anyone you can ask will tell you I've said this. Like, if you want, like, if you want it to succeed, you're gonna have to get the people interested, and that's the thing. It's like, it didn't matter if Billy was a face, a heel, good guy, bad guy, in between. He always got the loudest pop. He may not have been main, he may have been first, he may have been mid card, but he always got the loudest pops of the night. Like he got in, he connected with the fans, and it may hurt feelings, but there wasn't anybody else on the CCW roster that really connected the way that Farmer did. And I challenge anybody.
And thank you.
If you're listening to this, you can go on one of the posts. You can put a comment. Call me out. Tell me, who do you think connected better with the CCW fans than Farmer? Tell me. You can tell me, and I'll tell you that you're wrong.
I have, I have my picks and everything else, and of course I'm not one of them, and I appreciate.
And then I would tell you that you're wrong.
People, and you know, with Facebook memories coming up, and there's sometimes the bigger CCW shows and just early days, seeing some of that pop up in Facebook memories, and then going back and reading some of the comments.
Also, I just want to put you on hold here really quick. I don't mean, sorry to cut you off here, but I just want to put this other rumor out here real quick, put a stop to it. Those big CCW shows, everyone's like, what are we going to do to get the shows back to 800 people? And it's like, okay, I want to tell y'all this. Those 800 people shows aren't that impressive on the back end because those shows made the absolute least amount of profit. By the time you paid all those big names to come in, that profit was ate up. You can make a couple bucks off of an 800-person show by the time you got everybody paid out for it. So, yeah, no, CCW is probably not interested going back to that, bringing in 15 names that, cost so much and so much headache to deal with. So anyway, sorry, you said that, it made me think, and I wanted to get that out there before I forget.
Yeah, and I mean you're not wrong, but that's something that people don't think about. Whenever putting stuff like this together on the back end. But I remember now bringing it back up because I remember seeing stuff then about what some of the fans were saying, and seeing that come up again. It's like, man, it does kind of suck that it never happened, and it might never happen. That I wasn't the heavyweight champ at some point, because there was a lot of fans saying that if I don't and or never have, never was, whatever it may be, as far as like being the champ for CCW, said it'd be an absolute travesty. And seeing the state of where we're at right now, it's like, man, like it does kind of hurt a little bit. But one thing fans don't understand is, like, there was a point where I was supposed to be. Like, it was right there, right there. But, it was that Sykes show that we had to miss.
Yep.
Was that one?
Whenever I got hurt.
Me too.
Yeah. Whenever I got hurt. If I hadn't have, if my back was able to hold up for just a little while longer, it was going to happen. Like, everything was already there. Everything was pretty much getting put in place. And then I got hurt. So it was close to happening. And then after I got hurt, I don't want to say that I was, sore goods or anything along those lines. But, it was, let's take it easy on him a little bit after that happened. And it just never came back around to me, no matter what I did, no matter how hard I tried. Which, that all, again, falls back on me, just not executing what I was given properly enough to put me back at that level again. So, that falls on me. That's not on anybody else. I was given the opportunities, and I just didn't capitalize on them as I should have, to the, biggest possibility that I could have brought to it. So that again falls on me. But just looking back at it, if we never run another one ever again, and I don't ever get a chance to, that will probably bother me to the grave, if I'm being 100% honest, and that sucks.
I think there'll be at least one more. There'll be at least one more.
Yeah.
That one by hook or by crook, one way or the other, there'll be at least one more CCW show
That
because
would
there's
be
too many
nice.
loose ends and things like that that needs to be cleaned up. But I will say
Yeah.
that, and then the other one, and this is the one that kind of flustered me because at the end of 2019, I was done with CCW. Like back, my time there was done. It was written off. I was to come back one show, and that was to help sell Comic Con tickets for that Rhino show when I was done. Once I did that, it was out. I came back to CCW on a false pretense that they were going to put the belt on Cash. For those who don't know Cash Borden, he wrestles a lot in Illinois. At one time, he was wrestling for CCW. He'd come in. He's a good brother, good dude. He, he's got more of the hardcore style, and yeah, he started working there. They got him to come in. He started a program. He was supposed to win the belt, and for that to happen, like that's what it was going to take for me to come back, and that was the agreement that I had made for me to come back to CCW was that they were going to put the belt on Cash, and the payoff was, I was to be handcuffed to the heel manager Shannon Young to make sure that he no longer interfered, and it was because he had been costing Cash's title opportunities. So I agreed to come in and said, hey, if you come in, this is the plan. We're going to put the belt on Cash at this show. You're going to be there to make sure that Shannon don't interfere, and when he tries to interfere, you're going to drag him back. And for those that don't know, that ended up for Shannon, that actually ended up being one of the more dangerous spots for him, is because when I started to drag him back from that during that match, we were handcuffed, and the handcuffs tried to like slice his wrist open, and then they couldn't get the handcuffs off backstage, so that was fun. But anyway, so like the original, like the plan was for him to get the belt, and needless to say, the day of, show plans changed, and he didn't get the belt. And it wasn't much longer after that Cash was gone, and it was another lost opportunity, I think, for CCW to kind of get where it needed to be. So
I just, kind of want to, eventually get Tommy back into this because it's been me and you talking about CCW for a little while now. So
I'm a quiet guy.
I know, but we'll get you back in here in just a second. I kind of want to leave CCW with this right now. We're not done. We are trying. It's just a little bit harder than we were expecting to find a new home because that's all it's going to take.
mhm.
If any of you fans know of anywhere that would rent a place out to us that is big enough to hold, you guys know what our ring looks like. You guys know what kind of production we
It
have.
has 3 ropes on each side.
How you doing? So, you know, if any of you guys know of anywhere that would, on a consistent basis, rent a building out to us, because that's all we need. All we need is a building. We can do the rest.
And
Send it
now,
to us. Send
with
it to
him
me
saying that,
personally. I don't care.
this isn't like you drive down the street and you see a building and you're like, oh, hey, CCW should run here, and you have no connects, no business, anything like that with it. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about like if you
Yeah,
know
no.
somebody that runs a convention center, runs a building, runs you know, event center, anything like that, that's interested in running professional wrestling there, then reach
He
out.
just wants to make money
Yeah,
along with us.
yeah. Like if you're looking at an investment opportunity to like, I'm sure if CCW, if you want to broker the deal and run some kind of business on the side like that with it, then I'm sure that they would be open for it. So I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I said, if you know of anything, hit up Farmer, hit up Tom Rowe. You can hit up me, but I'll probably forget in 5 or 10 minutes, like, why you're sending me this building, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. But hey, I will tell y'all this. Talking about wrestling companies and the up and up and everything that's going well, I tell you a company that's doing really great right now is that's our friends at Black Label Pro, and they have their next event coming up just in a couple of weeks. They're April 25th at the Wyndham Indianapolis West Hotel Convention Center. They are working in conjunction with the Squared Circle Expo to bring you BLP at SCX3, featuring former WWE World Champion Raj Desi, known as Jinder Mahal, and all your favorite local indie wrestlers and top tier WWE Hall of Fame legends like Tony Atlas will be there on Friday for the show. Also, Black Label will be running their meet and greet both Friday and Saturday at the Squared Circle Expo. You can get tickets there at conventionpresales.com. Not only can you get your tickets for the show there, you can get your pre-sales on the meet and greet, get your photo ops, get your autographs, photo ops, anything, pro photos, anything and everything through Black Label. They've got a bunch of great talents coming in. Like I said, bringing in ECW legend Raven, bringing in everybody from Missy Hyatt to my mind just went blank here. This is what happens here when you get old. Bringing in, like I said, Missy Hyatt, Tony Atlas, Jillian Hall, anybody and everybody there. Like, you get a chance to meet them, get a photo. AEW superstar Billy Starks is going to be there. All kinds of great matches going on there. Also, I will say that, this is the first time that Black Label Pro is doing their own pro photo ops there at the convention. So, if you know, they'll do table photos with you there, but also if you want that clean, professional, top tier photo, you'll be able to get that there at conventionpresales.com. Also, if you have a podcast, if you have a small business, big business, or you just have a dream of being a part of a wrestling show, Black Label Pro has a great opportunity for you. They actually have a spot to where you can sponsor talent, and there are limited talents available. I know that you can still sponsor Raj Deshi, former WWE heavyweight champion Jinder Mahal, and their current champion, Josh Bishop. And not only will you get a photo with these guys, you will get a super ultra VIP seating. It's for 2 tickets with that. You'll also have a once in a lifetime opportunity. Well, unless you buy multiple sponsorships, and you can have multiple opportunities in one show. But you'll actually get to walk side by side with the talent that you sponsored to the ring during this big event. So if you've ever wanted to be a part of a wrestling show, or you've got a small business, anything, podcast, Facebook page, whatever, anything you want to sponsor, you'll have that opportunity. Just go to conventionpresales.com to be able to get that. Also, you will have the opportunity, if you would like to sponsor an instant replay segment on IWTV, of course. Black Label programming can be found on IWTV, the number one independent wrestling distributor on the internet. You can have your brand featured there as well. And like I said, April 25th is the BLP at SCX3, and then they will be April 25th and April 26th, the whole weekend there at the Squared Circle Expo. Come out, meet your talents, get all your pre-sales. For more information or to get your sponsorship opportunities, go to conventionpresales.com. And we look forward to seeing you all there. And come out, have a great night, meet your talents, get your sponsorships out, and maybe we can even convince old Tom Rowe to get his Tom Rowe brand a sponsorship there.
I have $5. Who's up?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Tom Rowe made a big investment today. What'd you buy?
Bought Blink-182 tickets.
That's right, on the hopes that they don't cancel again.
I'll be so pissed.
Dude, like, they should have done something for St. Louis, though. I don't know if you're aware, Farmer, but so Blink-182 is supposed to play here back in the fall. and
I
they
remember
last
that. Yeah.
August. Yeah.
Yeah, and they canceled like 2 days before, and then it took like 3 months to get your money back for the tickets.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know, it
So
actually worked out great for me though. I was so sick the night of the concert was supposed to be, so like at that point I wasn't even upset about the cancellation anymore.
there you go. You
Until
got
like
lucky.
2 days later, then I was upset again. But
Yeah, they were magically able to perform. They skipped St. Louis, and I think the next night was what, Detroit or something, and they were
they
magically.
skipped Kansas City and St. Louis, and then I think they had like 2 shows left on the tour, and they played those and just didn't reschedule for us.
Yeah, more and more of these famous artists are scared of St. Louis. I mean, look at our Queen Glorilla. She couldn't finish her show because of the St. Louis hooligans.
And that's crazy because she's from Memphis. So
Dude, it's still crazy to
That ain't the
me.
truth.
Here's the thing, and she even called us like Memphis's cousins there. She knows how we like to get down. We're Memphis's cousin. But it's just funny to me because literally, like I said, I've been to a comedy show there, but the other concert I went to there was Mastodon, Gojira, and Lorna Shore. And for those that aren't familiar, those are some heavy bands, and Lorna Shore, the opening band, is one of the heaviest bands going out there. And we're literally seeing people getting stretchered out because they got bones broke in the pit. And they still didn't stop the show. But there was a couple little hands thrown, and then they stopped the show.
I've been to the factory twice now. I saw Newfound Glory there. I don't remember it. I don't want to talk about it. And then I saw the Gaslight Anthem there, and there was like 17 people. It was crazy.
17 people?
I mean, there was more than 17, but it was pretty empty.
I was going to say, I don't know who that is, so.
They had a moment in like 2009.
I don't know, for some reason when you said that, I thought of the Theory of a Dead Man song, Gasoline.
Gross.
I mean, apparently they would probably draw better than the 17 people the Gaslight Anthem drew. So,
I'd rather be with my 17 people at the Gaslight Anthem than any Theory of a Dead Man show. I'm sorry.
I don't know, man. I've seen Theory of a Dead Man a couple of times. They were pretty fun. I ain't gonna lie. I can't front. Like they were pretty solid. Where you weighed at on this, Farmer? You a Gaslight Anthem or Theory of a Dead Man?
Neither.
He's over Googling. He's
Yeah.
like, who is Gaslight Anthem and who's Theory of a Dead Man?
I'm not Theory of a Dead Man. I'll be honest. I don't know the Gaslight Hooligans. I don't know that one.
Gaslight, they're a little Springsteen-ish. They're harder than Springsteen, but they're very inspired by Springsteen.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, give me Nickelback or give me Death. So
I'm down for some Nickelback.
I mean, if Death did a reunion, I would go see them. And I've seen a Nickelback before, and Nickelback put on a great show when I seen them. I don't care what anybody says. Like I've seen some of the hardest, most violent shows in the world, and Nickelback still, is up there for me. It's like one of the greatest shows I've seen.
I think Nickelback is very overhated. Overhated, not overrated.
100%.
Yeah, here's my other hot take for the night. They should take the hate that Nickelback gets and put it on the Deftones.
I'm pretty indifferent on the Deftones. I do have bands that I would put the Nickelback hate towards, but I don't really have an opinion on the Deftones.
Well, I
What
tell
are
you
the Deftones?
Do what?
What are the Deftones?
They were like a '90s new metal band. They got popular around the same time like Korn and Limp Bizkit and Rage Against the Machine did. But
I
they
definitely don't know who they are because that's who I was listening to. So yeah, I definitely don't know who they are.
Well, the Deftones is like more. They had those styles of riffs, but their vocals, Chino's vocals, are much softer.
So the only
Kinda like
Deftone
Creed?
songs I know
No, don't insult Creed.
Okay.
The only
I was about
Deftone
to
song
say,
that I know
I
of
love
is
Creed, but
Change in the House of Flies. That's Deftones, right?
Yeah, that was off the Queen of the Damned soundtrack.
So when I saw, I think Breaking Benjamin, when I saw them in Cave the first time, I think they covered that one.
I think they did. That was with 3 Days Grace, right?
Yeah, 3 Days Grace and Seether.
And Hurt.
Sure.
No, Hurt was the opening band.
I I remember 10 Ton Brick. That's the only song I knew of theirs.
I remember seeing them there, and then they played Pitters.
R.I.P. Pitters.
R.I.P. Pitters.
yeah, all right.
Farmer, did you ever make the Pitters?
Nope.
I only went to
Sadly,
Pitters
no.
one time. I was freshly 18 and my cousin's band was playing there, so I went and watched them. That's my only Pitters experience.
Oh man, I saw Afro Man there. I saw Psycho Stick there. I
And
saw
Hawthorne Heights play there a couple times.
yeah, they played. I didn't see them though. Uh I forgot the band, but like the guitarist in the band, his name was like Max, and he ended up going to play for Falling in Reverse.
Poor guy.
Yeah. So I seen them there. I'm trying to think of the band that I seen. They had like one big song, and it was on like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre soundtrack. But their singer was not when they played Pitters. When they were famous, was the dude that ended up going to be the singer for Five Finger Death Punch. I saw them play there.
There's the band that deserves the Nickelback hate.
Dude, here's the thing. I used to be a big Death Punch fan, like when they were first starting out before they like sold out and changed their sound. Like the Way of the Fist album, that album still goes hard. But like when they started getting the more and more radio friendly stuff, like after Bad Company popped off and got so popular,
The I Call Anthem.
is that really a thing?
Tommy knows, and
The majority of indie shows that I went to were I Call.
yeah. So just to kind of,
I was the unofficial cameraman.
Yeah, it was. So like there was some NWO syndrome going on around this time, and around the time that that song come out. So
Okay.
they created a group called Bad Company, and every single heel was in it. So it was like whatever the baby face would come out to their music, and then dun dun dun, Bad Company, I respect. And it was just the fucking worst, dude. Every single match you heard that song, and I still can't listen to it to this day and enjoy it because those fucking memories.
I
It's the
can't
fucking
even listen
worst,
to the
man.
Bad Company version.
They'll tell you like
Yeah. Yeah.
there are just some songs that are like they play them like at every indie show, and I don't get like I remember traveling to some of the Southern Illinois shows, and one company that I'm banned from, uh, they
I
would
know which one
play
that is.
right. Anyways, so they would play that stupid Fallout song "Memories," and then it seemed like every wrestling show had like at least 3 people that used that stupid song.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to think like there was some other country song that like you would go down south and everyone uses. That's the thing, like indie wrestling and indie wrestlers. If you're
International
listening
Harvester.
to this,
Tommy, come on, man. You ain't gotta bust my balls that hard, man. Ouch.
Sorry, I'm getting my quips in for
At least
being
my
quiet for a
remix
couple
was
hours.
good. That's fine. At least my remix that I made was good. Added the jingle in front of it, so that worked. But yeah, that's why I have custom music now.
so indie wrestlers, like wrestling companies, get better taste in music. Look, don't find whatever top 40 song is like out there and try to use it as your like theme or whatever. Like, go find some underground bands, get custom music, find local bands.
I can pitch you with a guy that can make you custom music because he's done it for me twice and they were absolute bangers. They have the most listens on Spotify for him. And there's a reason why. Because one, I'm kind of a big deal. And number two, they're pretty fucking awesome.
Is it
So
down
yeah,
straight?
get the fuck out. No. It is by the Fabulous Freebirds. Well, at least one of the 3 members of the Fabulous Freebirds. So
Michael
yeah.
Hayes.
No, Jimmy Garvin.
Yeah, Jimmy.
That's dope.
Jimmy's still alive?
I don't know.
I
I have no clue. Another band that makes my that made my custom music is called the Fabulous Freebirds. So,
Yeah, I
but
didn't.
yeah. So if there's anybody, any indie wrestler that's listening to this and wants custom music, slide in my DMs and I will send you their way. Because yeah, you guys got to think about marketing, man. You can't put up a YouTube video with fucking Kesha's Yippee Ki in the fucking background without the shit getting copyrighted and taken down, brother.
Even if
So
the hose be down at the trailer park,
how you doing?
man, I love that song.
Oh God, I listen to it at least 10 times a day.
I
I
need to give
care.
it another chance.
Yeah, I mean,
Just let it grow on you, Tommy. It will. It'll
It,
grow
like I
on
said,
you.
it didn't strike me the first time, and I've only heard it on I think your TikTok since. So
I mean, did you listen to the one?
That's fair.
Did you listen to the one with or without T Pain?
T Pain was on
I'm
it. I
with
think I
only.
turned it before it got to his part.
Oh,
I'm
that's
very
where it gets you.
on my new music playlist on Friday mornings. I'm very you got the first chorus to hook me, and that's it.
I'll do that release
Fair.
radar thing. Like, I'm still very picky on what comes through there. And it's like it's gotten to the point now where, like, if an artist is on another artist's song, and then they'll start recommending that. I actually just listened the other day or earlier this week. This lady, her name's like Jessie Murph.
I know the name.
So I'd never really listened to her, her stuff or knew much about her. But anyone knows I'm a big X the Plug fan, and she is on his song Holy Grounds, which I listen to way too much throughout the week. So I guess apparently Spotify's like, hey, you listen to this song, she's on it, so let me recommend this. So I started deep diving into that back catalog there of hers, and it's pretty good. Like she's kind of like got to me, it's like a country twang mix of Amy Winehouse and
Interesting.
country.
Hmm.
So, anyways, with that being said, I'm glad to have the podcast back. I'm glad to have these two good dudes here with me. We're going to continue to work through some of these things. We're going to try to figure out, some of the audio issues here. Try to get that figured out before the next episode. But like I said, I'm glad to be back. Glad to be doing this. We're going to start it out. Tom Rowe, where can people find you at?
I am only on Instagram at this point. It's Tom Rowe, T0MROE. Give me a follow.
You got anything else you want to put over, promote? You
Not
trying
at
to
the
put over that
moment.
OnlyFans?
Onlyfans.com/longtomsilver. Just kidding. Don't look it up. Yeah, that's all I got.
If that is a real thing and you give money to it, you're not giving it to Tom Rowe.
They don't know that.
Yeah, but when it don't show up in your bank account, you will. All right, Farmer. What you got going on?
Yeah, you can find me on pretty much any
He gets
social
the
networks.
long script paper out to start reading it off.
Oh no! See, that's where it comes back with that branding, brother. You can find me on pretty much any social networks. All you have to do is search FBHO5. I have, pretty much have myself and have that 05 niche market there. So you can search any social media and you can find me that way, FBHO5. And you will find me in this big, beautiful face to which you cannot see right now. But you can see it in the profile picture. I promise. So
This is
saith the Lord.
this is truth. You got any events to promote? Put over.
Oh man, so we were talking about my show that got canceled last weekend. It is rescheduled for this weekend at least. So I will be in Carterville, Illinois for a night pro wrestling LLC to I may or may not be there to beat up Dalton Anthony. We shall see. I'm technically like banned, like I'm not supposed to be there because I got in trouble at the last show, so I'm technically not supposed to be there. But if I buy a ticket as a fan, then You can't turn me away. So
like when you say like you're banned from there, like you're
mm,
banned from
for
there,
one show. Yeah,
you're
for
banned
one
from
show.
there, or like you're like Big Lee banned from certain wrestling companies.
No, I ain't got the big league band yet. No,
We're gonna make
I
it
ain't
happen.
that insane.
Nah, I mean you
See
just
what I
got it.
did there?
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's to me it's strictly insane to be banned from any wrestling company, but that's
Hey,
neither here
dude,
nor there.
that's pro wrestling for you.
That is. Where else can I make it to like them crazy towns like Carmine, Crossville, Illinois?
Hmm.
Tommy's like, I don't know what any of their stuff they're talking about. Wait, what? So with that being said, like I said, my name's Big Lee. You can find me bigleesworld.com, all your favorite social media platforms: Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That's at Big Lee's World. Uh, get your merch, bigleesworld.com. Anything and all things Big Lee's World. Podcast links, everything's at bigleesworld.com. Like I said, give us some comment. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about. You got questions? I mean, a lot of y'all that are checking this out, know what we're involved in. If you've got any questions about like the music scene, the wrestling scene, local, you know, national,
Anything,
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 yeah,
movies, TV, video games, whatever it
yeah,
may be.
just let us know. If there's certain guests you want us to have on here, we have a little bit of a network that we can reach out and get people on here. If you want to who you want to see on here, just comment on the social media posts. Let us know. Otherwise, we're just gonna get on here and randomly talk until somebody kicks us off of here, or we get banned from the podcast host. But otherwise, with that, make sure you just check out everything bigleesworld.com. Like, subscribe to the podcast, share the episode. Like I said, otherwise, we'll keep putting out episodes. You'll be able to find me, like I said, April 25th, April 26th at the Wyndham Indianapolis Hotel West for Squared Circle Expo. We'll be there with Black Label Pro Friday night. Make sure to hit up your conventionpresales.com to get your tickets, get those meet and greets. If you're looking at one of those sponsorship opportunities to get a once in a lifetime chance to walk a wrestler down to the ring and have your brand, podcast, whatever you have promoted, that'll be your chance. You get TV promotion, everything like that, meet and greets. Conventionpresales.com will get you taken care of there. Tom Rowe, Farmer, I think we had a good first episode here. It's up from here. It's only up from here, I guess, like the saying
Only up.
goes. And I'm glad to have y'all on here. And
Glad to be here.
I look forward to
Thank
the
you for
next.
having us.
Always, glad to have y'all here. And I want to retire the old saying of the two scoops of whoop whoop whoop. There seemed to be too much confusion of where it came from, why. So just to square it away one last time. No, it's not I didn't rip it off from the Insane Clown Posse or anything like that. I stole it from the Hooligans. They said it on some Facebook post, and then I took it and ran with it as a catchphrase. So, anyways, I haven't figured out the exact ending saying here for this, but like I said, just thanks for listening. We hope you check back next week with us. Share the episode. Follow us where you can, and we'll see y'all out. And have a great night.
Peace.
Peace.